What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Chris, this is 4K Motoring, and today we're saying goodbye to our AGV SportModular. If you guys have been following the channel for a little while, you probably saw the video that's linked up above where I did kind of a long-term review on this helmet after owning it for a couple years and probably about 40,000 miles total on that helmet. Mixed feelings on it overall. It is a very premium helmet as far as overall construction. There's some features I don't really like about it as much and some downright annoyances with it. Without a doubt, it is the lightest modular helmet that you can buy, and it is pretty narrow as well. They did a really good job with the hinge mechanism, really making it nice and thin to make the helmet pretty sleek overall. This is a complete carbon fiber shell. It is very lightweight. All the plastics and pieces on it, the metals are all titanium. All the plastics are very cheap feeling, but that's because they're very light. And that's kind of the nature of the helmet. There's a lot of concessions made for overall weight. So it is a very strong helmet, but it is a light helmet. Because of that, it's a pretty loud shell. There's not a lot of extra material for sound deadening, and that carbon fiber waves all through the helmet. The chin bar does not stay up. The detents for both the chin bar mechanism and the visor on the AGV helmets are very, very weak. The chin bar with a simple nod of the head, when propped up, will fall. The detents aren't strong enough to even keep it up on your head. The visor itself, at about 50 to 60 miles an hour, the wind on it over the windshield on this multistrada will force it to slam shut in your face. And overall, I'm just not thrilled at the daily living experience with that helmet. So the helmet you see right here sitting behind me is in fact a Shoei. One of the reasons I bought this SportModular when I did is because it does not have any of the inbuilt communication systems for the helmet. Just about every manufacturer, at least on the modular spectrum nowadays, the helmet is built, if it does not include it already, it is built with ports and adapters to put some sort of factory communication system, either whether it's from Sena or Cardo or something else, it's built in the helmet. Which means if you're using a different system or already have one, you are stuck trying to basically mount this in an inopportune location because there's so much extra bulk just to get your communicator onto this helmet. That's what led me to the SportModular initially, because it didn't have any of that. There was nothing inbuilt. You just snap on whatever you want to have on it and you can go with any system, especially one you already have. Obviously, I have the Cardo Edge already. I don't plan on buying a new comm system. That gave me a little bit of struggle for figuring out which helmet I wanted to go with. Now, about 4 years ago when I bought this helmet, what I switched from was a first generation Shoei NeoTec. And I had that helmet for approximately 5 years. Put a whole bunch of miles on it and lived with that daily. It was a black helmet, just solid black graphics. It was the NeoTec first generation. And overall, I really loved that helmet. I loved just about everything about that helmet. Had very few complaints at all about that helmet. What I've ended up going with, yes, I've stuck with modular, is another Shoei NeoTec, second generation this time. This is not a new helmet. It's been out since about 2018. There's lots of reviews and data on it. It does not conform to the latest ECE standard, the 2206 standard, which brings in some of the MIPS, the slip plane protections, but it's still a very solid, well-designed helmet. Now, prior to starting this video, I did open this helmet up and install the pin lock shield, make sure all the parts are available. But what I ended up getting was the NeoTec Generation 2, and there was a certain graphics package I wanted on it that was sold out for a long time. I wasn't sure I was going to be able to get this before my trip to Austin. I wanted something that was quieter for sure, which I know the NeoTec was, and just something that wasn't about 5 years old. So luckily, these just came back in stock. This is the graphics package I wanted. Let's go ahead and check it out. So without further ado, let's go ahead and pull off this helmet bag and check out the new Shoei NeoTec II. I'll leave a link for this down in the description below if you're curious what graphics package this is and if there's any still available. This is the one I wanted. It is slightly reflective, metallic, pretty high vis, and I think it matches my overall riding suits pretty well, both the red jacket and the white jackets I use. And compared to this bike, the graphics on it, I think it complements it pretty well. So in getting the new helmet, there's a couple things that really stood out to me when comparing this NeoTec II specifically to the SportModular. And one of them is the overall face shield. Now, Shoei uses a very thick face shield on most of their helmets. It is very robust. I generally have no problems with their face shields. They're very resilient. They come with a mist-proof coating. Really well made. They're a little expensive if you're buying new ones. Really well made. And these come with pin lock ready inserts and come with the inserts actually included in the box. You can see how far they stop. This is, per the box, this is a pin lock Evo shield. And overall it's pretty nice. It makes a really snug fit in the curve of the face shield, which I like a lot. But that's in direct comparison to something like the AGV SportModular with its pin lock 120 that comes over and covers a little bit farther to the side and gives a bigger field of view. And while that's the case, it doesn't seal as tightly to the face shield, and I do end up getting some gaps where either it'll start to fog up or water will go through, which is less than ideal. In most respects, these are very similar helmets. They're both modulars. They both have a chin, head, and exhaust vent on them, and pretty decent ventilation overall. The Shoei is definitely thicker and has a lot more little features for vortex generation, kind of sound reduction, that sort of thing. Some of the position for the release and the built-in sunshades are a little bit different. But this is the main piece that was worrying me a little bit in the SRL, Sena SRL inbuilt system, designed to house a Sena SRL module. And if you don't have a communicator and that's kind of what you're buying into, that level, which is like a Sena 20S, I think is about the level of that SRL system, it will fit fine and probably be more seamless, maybe harder to charge just because you have to charge the whole helmet. But when we come to something like my Cardo Edge, it's not going to fit in those. That means I'm going to have to mount it to the side, and now I have less real estate to do that, which is moderately annoying. Without a doubt, this design for the chin curtain and neck padding really does help to block out a lot of wind, which makes this a very quiet helmet. In addition to the shell matrix and thickness, this overall is one of the quieter modular helmets around. I know the Schuberth, I think, is generally rated as the quietest. They've focused on that a lot. The Shoei is up there as far as quiet helmets, unlike the AGV, which on a bike with no windshield actually wasn't too bad. With a windshield that the wind is just hitting on top of the helmet, it is incredibly loud. The other thing I'm not too particularly fond of is this micro ratcheting system on the Shoei helmet. There's a couple adjustments with it, so you can kind of fine tune it, get it to you. Overall, I don't feel like it's going to be as strong as the double D ring. It's certainly not as simple, and it's not as infinitely adjustable. I really think that's the extent of my complaints for the NeoTec II. So in wearing this helmet, I can say it fits very well in a medium size. I had the medium in the AGV SportModular, and as a brand new helmet, this NeoTec is feeling just a little bit more snug, but a very similar fit to that SportModular from AGV. Now, one of the biggest things I like about the Shoei's is that I can do this all day long. The face shield actually has a pretty strong snap up into the detents. It is not coming down. Likewise, the face shield will just flip up pretty easily, and it's held in position decently well. It doesn't just slam down on its own. I like that feature a whole lot. So side by side, here they are. And I loved this pattern of the AGV. It's all carbon fiber, but it left some exposed carbon fiber on the front and has just solid white. And this Shoei graphic, I think, really complements the current Multistrada very well. You can see things like a slightly rounded profile for the face shield as opposed to the flat one for the AGV. Overall shapes are clearly a little bit different for each of them. Venting style, See the size of the vents. Here they are. This has that nice sweeping line all the way up on the AGV. Whereas the Shoei, especially in this graphic, it's kind of hard. You can see it has that same line around there, which is kind of present in the front, but it has a lot of different curves, different shapes that are supposed to be very wind tunnel tested to make for a very quiet and stable helmet. I'll give you guys my impression after we do a couple days of riding in it just to see how it is, especially after my trip to Austin, Texas and back. Should know a whole lot about that helmet and how it really compares to the AGV that I've been riding. If there's anything specific you want to know about it and know how they compare, let me know. If you want me to do a direct comparison video, I'm happy to do that as well. We're excited for the new Shoei NeoTec II. We're going to get our Cardo Edge switched over to it and hopefully have a good couple years riding it. Thank you guys for watching 4K Motoring. Again, I'm Chris. If you haven't already, hit that like button and subscribe. It really helps us out. There'll be more Multistrada and MotoGP content coming up soon, as well as a couple Corvette things, maybe some other stuff on the channel. Stay tuned. We'll be back.